really talking about the roadmap for application development. Dan Dumont is also on, and we'll speak to the AppDev pack as we go. But I wanted to make sure people knew what was coming. This is kind of the message I've been spreading at multiple conferences, including this one. So roughly, I'm going to give DQL what we've done from version 10 all the way through version 12. Basically, I'm going to start from 11.01 and go on, but 12, we're building results processing, which includes sort, federation, joins, and formula language inclusion inside of V12. So that's stuff we're presenting and pushing out. But really, the point of DQL has always been, in fact, all of AppDev has been, taking the consolidation of all Domino search results and results processing, making it one place, one-stop shopping, if you will, and constantly improving performance capability across multiple venues and programming models, including Node.js and everything that brings to the table. So, this is a portable, multi-faceted approach to the problem of finding and processing data. Okay, real quick, we have in 11.01, we have finished the full text utilization. We are now enabling numeric and date terms to fully take advantage of the full text indexes. Vast improvement in speed. Full text is very fast. You do have to maintain an index, which is it's not free, of course, but people who've used the full text index in Domino know what that means, what it entails, and the cost thereof. So, of course, DQL will choose those things first because they're fast and pass along the results to the underlying, the following terms, as query terms. It's seamless. It works within all of DQL. It has some caveats. Only single occurrence fields will be able to use this. If you have a list of or a range of dates and numbers, those are not full text index. This is a Domino capability. And the other restriction is we do not put times in the date time value. So only the dates, but people who've used full text to do date ranges in the past understand that. So here is the, I might as well present. Here is the table of the processing that we offer. I can make this available. It's not a problem. It's available through Collabosphere, but I can certainly make this available, these slides. Excuse me. So you see basically that we have, the contains verb says that is what you say. I want to use full text to do a contains. And I say it's not the same as equals, but it says I want to find this text in this field somehow. You can specify. I keep saying this. You can specify the entire value within the text and find it all if you know your data. Okay, but the new stuff is the part that the numbers and the dates. You can see the bottom three. If you have a time as part of your data, it will not use full text indexing. If you have only a date, it will use full text indexing, both for equality and range searching. Okay. Stats are part of this. We deliver this in 11.01. You can use it if you want. Show stat query. This basically will show you by term type where you're spending your time in DQL. It's very good for tuning. It's also good for an admin to see what kind of resources, what kind of SLA, if you will. The all query SLA is the amount of time it takes to return a search result. So that to see all queries, let's see the MSEX. All query MSEX is the magic. That is the average MSEC. I'm not seeing it here. Anyway, there's an average MSEC across all queries, and that is the time it takes to return a query. That's kind of your SLA. Yes, and we have some early access went in. We do now have the ability to run Domino query, no Domino query from Java. LotusScript's going to be a trick because we did not ship the designer as part of the early access in the 920 drop. But you can use Java, and you can basically work against remote databases. Prior to this, it was only local databases that could use the Domino query call object, So it now shows up on the show trans. If you're on the Domino console, you can see it. The query DB request is that. It shows you how long it took, how many there are, that kind of thing. Same as any of the NRPC queries. There's no restriction on using substitution variables. You pass them across the wire, no spoofing, so we protect against the SQL injection problem. Okay, and yes, we have now in the drop, early access drop, we now have included formula language in the language itself. We abandoned the idea of merging the syntaxes. They were just too incompatible, and it would have bred a whole new vein of confusion. So we use the @FL or @formula, case insensitive, to bound the formula language part of the query. It either works as a unary or as a field, if you will. So if you recall, if you've seen the way we do the terms in DQL, there's field, there's operator, and there's value, and it is the field part of that syntax that formula language falls into, or it can function as a unary, true false. So whatever's inside the @FL is a unary. It's a logical value, true or false. Okay, and this provides, of course, a huge library of functionality. People who've used formula language know what's there. Intra-document terms between different fields, that kind of thing, and full expression support inside formula language. So we do support substitution variables outside of the FL. You can say, in this case, length var. You're basically saying, I want to compare it. I want to change what length var is per execution. You can do that by using, but the right side, again, this is left on the right side of the query. The formula language is the left side. It's the field name. Or if you will, field name substitution. The right side is the value. So length var can be substituted anytime. And I give you another one down below, the field one var, that kind of thing. It's completely compatible with the rest of DQL. It fits right in with everything else. I will say that all formula languages, of course, are satisfied via NSF scanning. They're all ANDed and ORed in the single pass. So if you have multiple, what you see there, that second query, that's a single pass, single NSF scan. There is a restriction to 256 bytes. So the idea of running a whole program of formula language inside of a query is a silly notion to begin with, and we don't let it happen. We keep it short. And there are it's documented what set of @ functions we support. And you cannot substitute the entire formula language string. Okay, there's a refresh. I wanted to make sure that people heard about this one. We do, in fact, support full text refresh. People have asked us for a long time. Full text updates are in refresh prior to running your query, guaranteed. And this is something for V12 we're going to be trouting as we go forward. So if you specify, there's actually a setting, I'll give you the settings down below. Say I want to refresh my full text indexes prior to giving any results. It will work that way. We will make sure you don't get stale results. You don't get results that don't meet the criteria. Okay, work in progress. This is the biggest piece of what we're doing in 12 is the query results processing. It's post-processing of the results, actually returning data and not just found sets, not just document collections, but actually data. Input to this is document collection. So basically, it's not just DQL. We're passing any document collection you have is passed into this thing and can take part as a component of the processing that goes on. It's across multiple databases, multiple schemes. It features computed values everywhere. We sort. I'm not sure if the joins will make version 12, but certainly the federation will. And we're going to support aggregate functions as well. Now, we tried really hard to avoid complexity here to make it simple, low code, no code. We gave up because joining and the processing we wanted to support does not make that possible. So, the idea is there's a new in the backend class. There's a new class called the Query Results Processor. It's supplied lists of data and other classes to work with. Basically, we build on your known classes. They've never been combined to work before together. It has extensive capabilities, multiple output formats and objectives. As I say, I would not call it low code. Okay, so just to give you a brief run through of the methods that are supported. you're adding a sort column. It's the first thing you think of it as left to right. So think of building a view in the designer. You go left to right, creating your sort columns. You're basically adding one each time you call add sort column. That's the way to think of it. Remember the programmatic name will come up in a minute. Add document collections. As I said, this is not just DQL, it's any document collection. You can create this thing. You can pass in, your FT search document collections, your DB search document collections, your document collections you created by hand, your view entry collections. You can pass it into this thing, and it will process them as found sets, okay, and have them included in the results, okay. So yes, and there's a Domino query aspect. You pass in the DQL query, we'll run it for you and come up with this found set. Remember the collection name here. We actually have a collection name because the next one, so here's an example. I'm sorry that passes in. This add formula call is the thing that overrides. It lets you override a programmatic name, just like a view, right? So you have a column name, and the column formula actually can do anything, right, to produce values. We're supporting the same thing here. So the way it works is when you say add sort column, down the bottom is an example, add sort column, and then add document collection, which says, okay, I'm going to define a single column. It's a single column view, if you will. I'm going to pass in 2 collections, and each of them, say they're from DB search and full text search, whatever. And then add formula says, okay, I want to apply the @ propagation name field formula to everything matching the .call collections. You see that? So that matches .call1, .call2, and matching the name, sort column name. So basically it plugs in that formula where you say to plug it in. Okay. This is fast. I'm going fast through this. I know that. As part of that. The final thing is the combine rule. This is how you join. I don't really have much to say about that at this point. We are going to support views as output here, also streams, and then execute, of course, runs it. Here's a picture, tells 1,000 words, so it saves me time. But you get the idea that on the left you have multiple document collections coming in all kinds of ways, formulated all kinds of ways. They're combined optionally through joins and lookup. They all participate in the fetch aspect of that. And the fetch it crosses databases, crosses found sets, and then it's all sorted together as a package of data. And the output is specified either as JSON or Domino summaries or a view. And that's the output of this thing. Okay, and what it gives people, the new stuff is that sort package for the first time has been decoupled from view building. You've used the sort package forever in building views and refreshing them, but this is going to be a streamed mode of the sort package. So you don't need to wait for the whole thing to finish sorting before it starts returning values. That's the beauty of it. And we're separating the column formulas for each document collection, so that if you have different sources of data, you can apply a formula and make them look the same, if you will. So you can, if anything I've known about Domino data, it's very loose as far as the type, with given typelessness and format, frankly, of the data. So that gives you a chance to clean this up to make it presentable in a report, say. And views that get created from this can be used or discarded or retained. Joint strategy is not going to do that too much. What you get is a federation of data. We're doing this, and of course, the computed Marshall field type into homogeneous output. This is classic Domino. This is Domino is the only package on Earth, as far as I know, that indexes computed data. A lot of packages do return computed data. We actually index it here. It's on-the-fly sorting. You don't need views. That's a new thing. You don't need views. And if you do choose views, they're automatically created and discarded. Okay. All right. And here's a very quick example. I don't override the formulas in this case. I have created a query processor. I have a single sort column for salesperson. I'm sorting it ascending. I'm adding a single document collection, which is from that FT search above, and then I execute it and returns a sorted salesperson field, and that's it in JSON format. Okay, and I could do a demo here. I don't, I guess let me see if I have this. I don't know if I have a demo ready here. I certainly have the makings of one. So I had this prepared. I'm not going to show it to you, but there's the idea that you would have a salesperson. These are the sort columns, again, left to right, salesperson, order, origin, part, no, and then have these three input DQL queries as part of that. These are the names you add, and you combine from these three different databases a single stream of output. Okay, and that's basically what the demo would have shown you. Okay. Yep. Right. So work in progress. And this actually this now gets out of DQL back into the core. We actually have. Let's see what time it's going to be. Yeah, a few more minutes. We have the ability now to combine multiple updates into a single transaction, JavaScript and Java. We support transaction begin, commit, and rollback. This is very powerful. It allows you to combine multiple actions, multiple updates into a single unit. So either all goes in or all gets rolled back either way. If you don't commit, we will roll back. This is the one people have to understand this. It's powerful, but we have to act upon your behalf. If a database object was out of scope or the agent's terminated, we will roll back. And that's what you want. You don't want us to automatically commit. That's not what you want. So with this power comes good responsibility. You now have the ability to crash a server in a brand new way. We're going to put some checks in here to make sure that that's hard to do. But the combination of transactions, if you have large transactions across multiple threads, you have 4 gigabytes in a circular log, and that's it. So if you don't commit for a long time, you can crash the server. This is true of most servers most databases. If you keep long-running transactions, it'll roll it back for you and say, nah, you can't do that. They cannot nest one database, one level, one at a time. There's no inner transaction. So the whole point here is to give you a control over what a unit of work is inside Domino. Very powerful, very useful. Okay, field length relief. Really, we've had a long-standing issue with the size of fields. Traditional limits being 32K for field size, 62K for the total of document summaries. With other problems, error messages, support views, all that. This is all part of the size issue. And the notion of, I defend the notion of summaries. It is the commonly accessed data in a note, and it should be smaller than the entire possible note. So the non-summary part of the note is the objects and that which you would access less frequently. Okay, so it's actually very good. Now, make sure you guys know about this. Around 901 and fixed back 8, there was a feature that went in kind of quietly, yes, but it went in that supports a large summary, okay? And this was kind of a stopgap, it is, but the fields grow to 64K. Have you tried this? Most people, no, they have not, okay? It does require ODS 52, but, it gives you some relief now. So you don't have to wait for us for this thing, okay? But the way we're going to build is that this is a big deal, by the way. It requires in the ODS. The only limit that will remain is the 16 megabyte summary size total. Anything within that 16 megabytes is fine, but that's the only limit we have here. So things get very big. We can start supporting much larger summary data, and non-summary fields can be up to 4 gigs. So, and that's not a typo. They will be that big. Yeah, this is actually new. They will support, yes, the permuted entries from a new large field. So we're not going to include them in the payload of the API, so that things like find by key extended or NIF read entries, which is the same. They get entries by key. We don't return large data there. You have to open the document and read the long fields. Okay, field length limit. So people understand. Right? This is where you live, or where the app devs live. They get this message. What the heck does it mean? What field blew it? And the trouble is, it's a catch-all error message. Okay, there are multiple venues, multiple error states. Oftentimes, it's the sum of the field lengths. It's not one field responsible. So it could be a 2-byte field that overrode the size. And that's what you get. You get the fields. So we have to give you a map back. It's not just a single field. It's not going to help. So we are going to try to separate those two states, though, and give you back better data. Okay, ACL relief. Actually, since this slide went out, we've actually come back with a report here. Its current maximum is 32K. That's bytes in size, which corresponds to somewhere like 1,000 or 2,000 entries, whatever it takes to fill up those 32K. It's not something that we can hang our hats on. But the statement now has changed. It's an early statement, but we now know that V12 will allow 64K entries, not size. So whatever size that takes, 64,000 names will be part of this. So it's roughly, it's 65 times as what it used to be, or something like that. Point is, you don't need to worry about it that way. It's basically big enough to be able to support that. And reader lists, people ask the question because reader lists on the same thing. Well, the reader lists are not the ACL, two different things, two different structures supporting it. Reader lists will benefit from the field expansion, okay? So that's both are covered, okay? All right, and that's all I had. So I think that certainly is enough there. I will stop sharing and look at chat. Can anyone else talk? No, everyone is muted, right?
I think we can talk.
Yep, I can hear.
Okay. Oh, good.
Participants can unmute themselves to talk and ask questions.
Oh, that's exciting. 64 gigabyte. Oh, Perry, in 10.0, 64 gigabytes limit became 256 gigabyte. That went away quite a while ago. Yep. No problem. That's a very good question, Michael. I do not know the answer to that.
For those of you who don't know the question, sorry to interrupt you, John. Michael Friedman asked, will the ACL size expansion include the ability to create more roles?
Yeah, and I mean, if size was the reason that you couldn't create roles, I don't know if size is the reason. If it was, yes, it does include that. If size was not the reason, I don't know. That's my confession. Okay. So I'll take that one back.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. That's a question probably for the client team as well. Okay. Okay. So Dan, ACL option available letter script for the pass. Oh, you're speaking of add to ACL, Tom? I mean, the kind of manipulation. That's the idea. Can people unmute themselves? You don't have to type in.
Yeah, everybody, participants, you have the ability to unmute yourself. You can just ask your question verbally. That way it shows up on the recording along with John's answers.
Yeah, okay, John, this is Tom. Can you hear me?
I can, Tom. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, John, indeed, the question I asked for the ACL options, that's indeed to add or update ACL entries by script.
I don't think we have that plan. By the way, I should have mentioned, if you have an idea like this and it's important to you, please put it into the AHA question. Yeah. Please.
I didn't do it yet, but I will.
Okay, we are extremely active in reading the AHA stuff. I can't stress that enough. I'm truly a net change from how things were at IBM, as we are on top of that almost daily. I will say that. David Boston, index management. Yeah, so I'm not sure where the 500K number fits in, but yes, we are looking at making index retrieval particularly go much faster. And I should mention the ability to use, I wrote a blog on this, the ability to use inline. So if you have, I can give you a link to that blog perhaps, but there's an inline capability that let's see, I'll give it to you. Yeah, here it is. I'm going to give it to you here. You can read about it here. Okay. That will give you a picture of how inline works. That will, that has significant relief on the classic logjam, classic performance. The basic problem with updating views has been a logjam that happens between everyone trying to simultaneously update or refresh. Refresh is kind of a euphemism for updating a view, and when they all hit at the same time, there's a competition that goes on that takes a lot of resources and slows everything down. Inline is one of the ways to address that. Okay, and we are for retrieval. To release an update. Well, not okay. Okay, I should say not in our measurement, but please, we have not seen that very much. So you don't. If you turn it, I should say, don't turn it on for all views. Okay, and please make sure you're hitting the views, the critical views. If you turn it on for all views, absolutely. So you can specify the -T option. I'll put the syntax here. So it's dash inline on, and then -T view name. Okay, so that's what you would do. So you specify a single view. Okay, try it. I mean, we don't have your data, we don't have your load, but in our measurement, it has proven very useful. Okay. I mean, so yeah, read the blog.
Hi, John. I got another inquiry.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have a migration plan that is coming from the old versions of Notes Domino, like for starting from 9.01? Migrating that to new codes.
The data?
From the applications. Not only the data, but including the codes, the agents, the source codes, scripts, and all that. Do you have a automatic migration plan or a script that would upgrade the codes from the old ones?
So I'm not exactly sure the problem you have. And I'm echoing.
I mean, we're just trying to. Yeah. No, we're planning on upgrading our system into the newer version,
okay,
to V12. But of course, how about the older codes? I mean, there's the codes, the Lotus script codes that is in the 9.01.
Oh.
Would that be upgraded as well?
No, it's upward compatible. If it doesn't work, that's a bug we have to fix.
Yeah, I'm assuming that there will be. Yeah, including the formulas and a lot of scripts. So.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, it will all work. We even have applications that were built in V6 that will work. So
yeah, it has to.
Okay, great.
It must work.
That would also that would also include the existing JavaScript that was done through that, right? And the HTML, CSS, and all that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we cannot break things.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Yep.
That's all.
Yep.
Any news about some updates to the debugger for Lotus Swift?
Sorry, could you repeat that question? I didn't quite get it.
Yeah, me neither.
Any news about updating the debugger for the Lotus Swift?
About the Lotus script debugger?
Yeah.
I don't believe that has been enhanced. Please submit any questions or any improvements to AHA.
There's a lot of feedback in your mic. If you're not speaking, could you please mute yourself?
Thank you. Question from Richard Coachram. Any plans to enhance design elements when used from the web? This is a question for the designer team. I can pass it on. It'd be good if you had specific requests there. That would help us really be able to look at that. And I'm not trying to be naive here, but we need to know your specific request. Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments? What you've seen, or Dan, did you want to speak? I didn't mean to.
Yeah, I don't have a presentation for the AppDev Pack, but I can speak to some of the upcoming changes that we're working on for 107 and 108. I'm not sure that I can actually present anything, but I do have a demo of a recent open source contribution that we've made on GitHub, if anyone cares to see it. So for 107, the AppDev, sorry?
Yes, show the demo.
Okay. if Devin can get me presenter role, I will do that. But we're having trouble earlier.
Let me see what I can do here.
So for 107, we're going to be releasing 2 new major APIs for the AppDev Pack. One of them is create database, and the other one is delete database. So functional IDs will be able to create and delete databases if they have permission on the server. So it's fully integrated into the Domino security controls. And the act as user OAuth extension of that to allow admins to be able to do that if they're using a particular application that has that capability is going to be in another release. But we're trying to push this API out to people as soon as possible. In 108, we're also dark launching some stuff to ease the configuration of setting up the AppDev Pack, utilizing some new Domino 12 enhancements that we've been waiting for. We're hooking into the cert manager functionality in Domino 12 and allowing you to issue console commands to Proton to automatically set up the Proton server with a certificate and generate user certificates and automatically add them to the user's profile document. And then download the certificate to use in the client. So it streamlines the user setup and server setup for Proton much easier. There'll be some defaults so you can get up and running really quickly with a secure solution instead of having to do that manually. Because the 107 comes out before Domino goes gold, not all of the features that we need for like full domain management are going to be there. So that's why it's dark launched. And in future versions of the AppDev Pack after 107, you should see that rolled out to more people. So those are the things that we're working on extremely short term. We still have a long list of things that we're working on in the backlog. And as John has been saying, if you have requirements, please put them in AHA because they help us prioritize what we work on next. And now I will share my screen. Okay, so we have, oh my,
We can see your screen, Dan.
Yeah, I'm on my other monitor getting a tab for you guys. It's something on top of it though. Okay. So we have an app-dev-pack samples repository.
Dan, let me interrupt you just real quick.
Sure.
Just as a moderator thing. The official closing session is going to be starting now. However, because we got a late start, I'm going to go ahead and let this run for another 5 minutes. So just so everybody is aware of what's going on so we get a good recording. Sorry to interrupt you, Dan.
Sure, no problem. So we have a GitHub repository that we got approval to submit samples to. So we have one sample for the app dev pack. It's an OAuth-enabled web server. And that's there. We can add more if people have suggestions or things that they'd like to see. We can either enhance this or create new ones, and I'll move on. So this is that code all set up in the app dev pack, and I can run it here. It opens a server listening on whatever port you configure it as, and the first thing you see is it notices that I'm not logged in, so it sends me to the IAM service to log in, so I can log in as user 2. And then it asks me to authorize the Proton scope so that the application can do operations on my behalf. So I logged in as user 2. This application will be acting as user 2. When I authorize it, it brings me to this page. It shows me that I have no incoming messages, and I can write a new message. So I can write a message to myself. And what this does is it creates a document in the database with a readers list of who the message is to. So I see this message. I'm using a DQL query to search for all documents, but the only documents that show up are the ones that I have the ability to read. So if I refresh, it deletes the message as soon as I read it, and I can show you that if I log in as a different user, maybe as user 1, I can send a message to user 2, and user 2 will see it. So this is showing, the reader list functionality of act as user, and that all of the permissions that Domino has for those users that you're using in your act as user token are being honored. So there's examples in here of the authentication code flow to use OIDC for authentication so that the application knows who you are, and to then perform operations in the Domino database as that user. And I'll stop there if there are any questions. And I seem to have lost my chat window, so I don't know if there are any questions being typed. But if not, we can end so that people can attend the closing.
Michael corrected me. He says the closing starts at 11:30, not 11:15. So, I haven't seen any other questions come in since you started your demo.
I found my chat window. If anyone has any questions, go ahead and speak up. I guess we have more time.
So one thing about the debugger requests, if there is a Lotus script, if there is a designer meeting like this, you should probably go there to say those to make that point. Okay. So Lotus script debugging is very much a designer capability.
Not hearing any more questions or seeing any more questions come in, I think let's go ahead and call this a done session. The recording will be posted, as Tim said earlier, in this morning's opening sessions. The recording will be available starting next week. You can just go ahead and use the same URL to go into the Volt app and pick it up. Thank you, everybody, for attending.